Evita B interviews President Nelson Mandela. This is a powerful message about his presidency and the unification of South Africa after apartheid.
Saibona, Dumela, Molo, hello. I've come to see a very old and dear friend. He also happens to be probably the most famous person in the world. Mr. President, everyone in the world wants to spend time with you, and here you are with me. I must thank you. It's a wonderful honor to be back here in Tuinhuis. I look around this room and I see some of the things that I helped create. Mrs. Botha and I looked after the curtains in the old days. Do you enjoy being in Tuinhuis?
Yes, I do, because it gives one the opportunity to make a humble contribution towards the national debate that is going on in the country. And yes, it's a wonderful experience.
We were very scared in the old days, as you probably remember. Afrikaners like me were frightened that when black South Africans would take control of South Africa, all the old symbols, the old paintings, the old stinkwood furniture would be removed, and we're so happy to see that everything is still here.
Minorities are entitled to be concerned about the type of changes that have taken place in our country. The task of the government and the ANC leadership would be to assure the whites that change would not mean a reversal of the position where blacks will now oppress the white minority and the other minorities. And I think that we're succeeding in addressing their fears. And the Afrikaners themselves have played a very important contribution towards normalizing the situation. President de Klerk and other prominent Afrikaners like Constant Viljoen, they have done very well indeed in ensuring that all of us come together to join hands and to pledge this common loyalty to our common country. Well, and you yourself have played a tremendous role.
President Mandela, thank you. I appreciate that, especially coming from you here in this wonderful place. Did you meet President P.V. Botha in this room?
Yes, I met him in the room where I am.
In your office?
Yes, in my office.
What was that experience
like?
I'll
show you. It was an experience, which shook me from top to bottom, because I had expected that he would behave in the way in which his image has always been projected, that he would lecture to me and pointing a finger. But it was one of the most pleasant interviews I've heard. He welcomed me with a broad smile, and he served tea for me, and it really was a wonderful meeting.
Did you have cook sisters with your tea?
Well,
because I sent cook sisters especially for you that day.
Well,
I hope you
on
got
that
some.
day they were not there, but cook sisters, they say, are my favorite.
Are your favorites?
In fact, when I reached Johannesburg in 1941, I saw cook sisters for the first time. And at that time, I was getting £2 a month, but I used to reserve 10 shillings so that every weekend I could have cook sisters.
Well, I shall make it a point of sending you cook sisters once a month.
Oh, very good. First class.
Mr. President, I see the beautiful garden here at Tuinhuis is still exquisite and so special. Do you have a chance to, as in the old days I read in your biography, you wore a straw hat at Paulsmoor and worked in the garden. Do you have a chance to enjoy yourself here?
Well, that is one of the things I regret very much. Because in prison, I could sit down at the end of the day and think, do nothing else but think. And I was able, therefore, to see myself in a different light and to be able to correct the mistakes, at least to have a plan to correct the mistakes we committed in the course of our work. And the other thing that I liked very much was gardening, to create something new. And I loved it very much. I spent at least 2 hours a day in gardening. I have no time for that now.
Oh, what a shame.
I don't even have the time to think. I have to move from one meeting to the other. And by the time I go back home, either at 10 o'clock, sometimes at 12 o'clock, and even after, all that I have to do is just to go to bed.
Where is your home, President Mandela? Where do you feel most at home?
Well, Lower Hote now is my home.
Yeah.
In fact, I wanted to stay in Lower Hote and travel every day to Pretoria. But there was solid opposition against this. Even Mr. de Klerk told me that he thought it would be risky for me to stay in Lower Hote and strenuous too.
Yeah.
And he advised that I should stay in Pretoria. When Parliament is here, of course, naturally I must spend most of my time here and be able to be in contact with cabinet ministers, members of Parliament, because that is very important. In fact, I want to take advantage of my being here to attend Parliament, although I'm not a member of Parliament, because I can't understand how a head of state could be excused from being a member of Parliament where the fate of the country is being decided.
Absolutely.
And so my own choice is that when I have time, I have to be in Parliament. But unfortunately, my program sometimes takes me away from the country for the good of the country.
Yeah, natuurlijk.
And other times away from Cape Town to other parts of the country. Again, you know, a program which is endorsed by the cabinet, but I like being in Cape Town during the parliamentary session.
And do you enjoy Table Mountain? Has this become a symbol for you through the years?
Well, Table Mountain, as the old further van die moederstad. And so it has got that symbolic significance for us. I went on Table Mountain in December '47, and I saw Robben Island from there. I never knew that I would be an inhabitant of Robben Island for more than 2 decades. And I knew that Auchumayo or Harry the Strand Looper and people like Makana and Chief Makoma were in Robben Island, but I never thought I would be there myself.
I remember also when you were at Paulsmoor, you used to come into Cape Town with, was it Lieutenant Gregory? You used to come for excursions into town? Yeah. I think I once saw you sitting in a car. I saw the police officer going to a shop. I looked into the car. I saw you. I said to myself, oh, liewe aarde, daar is Nelson Mandela. And you know, I think you were eating an ice cream. Is it possible? I wanted to open the car door and say, Mr. Mandela, let's run away together. Let me save you. But I was so scared you turned me down.
Oh, no. I would have welcomed you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I would have welcomed you.
President, your memories of Christmas, because we are in the season of Christmas, your first Christmas as a child, do you remember that?
Well, it's difficult to remember the first Christmas, but I remember the Christmases that were held as a child. And it is the only time when we could have, in the countryside, sugar. Because tea and coffee were reserved for elderly people. And but at Christmas, then they gave us, you know, some coffee and sugar, some syrup, you know, with bread, you know, with syrup.
Stroop and brood, yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, you would slaughter a sheep. That is what I remember. And also see our mothers walking from house to house, village to village, crawl to crawl, eating almost the whole afternoon, you know. And I still remember those days.
And on the island and in prison, did you ever have an opportunity to celebrate Christmas? Was
Oh,
there
yes,
any
we did.
chance?
We really did. And they allowed us to buy a packet of sweets, a packet of fruits. That is what we enjoyed there. And then when some of us were in A group, you could buy a lot of goodies and enjoy Christmas.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then, of course, we used to have games, play competitions, and also organize some concerts and sing and so on.
Do you have a chance now to enjoy laughter? Is there time to have a good
It's
joke?
very difficult. The program is very tight. The National Executive Committee of the ANC has decided that I should work only in the morning and be free in the afternoon. Every one of them is concerned, at the workload which I carry. But it's not very easy because we have to consider the matter not only from the point of view of members of the ANC, especially now that we're in government. There are calls which are made to the head of state and which cannot be ignored. And then we find that the program, starts very early in the morning until very late at night. And although at the end of it, however strenuous the day, I have got a feeling of satisfaction because one feels the warmth of all South Africans and the fact that at the end of the day you feel you have done a very productive work. And that takes off the strain from you.
And to relax, do you have a chance to really switch off?
Well, the relaxation comes only in the morning. When I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock, I am on the road for about an hour, sometimes a little more than an hour. But when I go down home to my country village, I walk to the distant villages and cross little rivers and climb hills and so on. Sometimes it takes about 2, sometimes 3, even sometimes 5 hours. And of just walking and talking to the people in the villages.
Is this the village where you in fact built a house
Yes.
which was designed according to the house you had at the Vic Verster?
Absolutely.
This is a wonderful. Could you explain to me why you chose that design?
Well, I stayed in that house from 1988 to 1990. I was all alone, and I became friendly to the walls of that house. And it left a very formidable impression on me. And that is why I wanted to carry that impression with me to my country village. And because I had some of the most pleasant memory in that house, that cottage in Victor Verster. That is where most of the negotiations with the top government team that was set up for this purpose, that's where these negotiations took place and decisions made about the future of South Africa. And so in that house in my country village, it represents those memories.
This year, 1994, has been for everybody probably the greatest year, in fact the first year of the rest of our lives. You have freed all of us, you have freed me of all the guilt of being associated with things that we are now so ashamed of. There must be so many highlights for you. Do you have one specific moment in the last year that sticks in your mind as being totally extraordinary?
Well, I don't think it's fair to personalize the achievements that we have made during 1994. Those achievements would not have been possible without the sacrifices that were made by a long line of freedom fighters who never gave up and who came out into the streets and demonstrated, who were shot and killed by the racist apartheid police, and who were arrested and detained without trial, were thrown into jail to serve long sentences. And it is the results of their sacrifices that is responsible for 1994. But also now all sectors of South Africa have contributed, including those who were on the other end, including those who were the oppressors. They have now contributed to the building of a new South Africa. And although it is proper for us to look back and to decide who exactly brought about this change, but it is necessary now to look at it from the point of view of the contribution that is being made. Yeah. Because it may be comparatively easy to overthrow what you don't like, but to build a new South Africa may even be more difficult. Yeah. And it is here that the contribution of other South Africans is appreciated.
Is it difficult to be the world's great hero?
I don't spend much time on that because the world has many heroes. I myself have many heroes, and my heroes are men and women who have chosen to bring about happiness into the heart of everybody, whatever his background, whatever his race. And I am heartened by the fact that we are rich in such men and women in our own country.
Your inspirations for you, who were they?
Well, it's not very easy to say that because we are an organization which believes in a collective leadership. And it is the collective effort of all South Africans, of all human beings, that is important, not really an individual. Mm. There are many people I admire for their courage, for their vision, for their foresight. And in this country, one man who had that vision was Minister Kobe Kutse. Because at a time when no member of the National Party wanted to hear about the ANC, that was the man who was working systematically with me to make it possible for the ANC and the government to sit down and to talk. And I have immense respect for that man. But of course, it would not be correct to say this is my hero, because I have had heroes from my own organization. It's difficult to single out one of them and to say, well, this was my greatest hero. That's very difficult.
Well, I'm very easy to say that you are definitely my greatest hero.
Well, that is mutual, because you are my hero.
Thank you, President Mandela. Tell me about the wonderful things you wear. I have to congratulate you for not wearing always the suits and the ties that the old Broederbond used to make so famous in the old days. Do you have a certain style? Do you have somebody who designs your lovely shirts?
No, actually, you know, I just accept what I get. There is not a single article which I wear which I have bought.
Ach, nee.
And all these are presents. And I just appreciate, you know, the hospitality of people who make it possible for me to have some little bit of variety.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
You have said that men shouldn't be ashamed of being seen in the kitchen, of looking after the children, of being partner in the home. Do you find you do your own cooking with pleasure? Do you have a chance to do that?
Well, that is one of the difficult things that I miss, one of the dearest things that I miss, to sit down with your children and to listen to them, their hopes and aspirations, to answer questions, to help them to grow. I miss that a great deal. And now and again, I have the opportunity of calling them together. But of course, they are spread all over the country. And some of them, you see, they are in other parts of the world. And, but I like sitting down with my children and grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, because I have 3 great-grandchildren, 21 grandchildren.
Ach, nee.
Yeah, so I'm very rich, I'm wealthy.
Well, I have two little grandchildren from my daughter Billy Jean, and one little grandson is called Nelson Ignatius.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
And I would like to one day bring you bobotie. I don't know if you've ever tasted real Afrikaans bobotie.
No, I have once, but I would like to have that taste again.
I will make it specially for you.
Very good.
Well, we are now on the eve of a new year. People are having their holidays, people are sharing their families, people are watching television, looking forward to a new South Africa in 1995. Do you have a message that you would like to give to the people watching us now at this
Well,
moment?
it appears to me that we are going through a very difficult period. There are a lot of problems. But what encourages me is that we have the capacity to address and to solve those problems. One of the things that worries me a great deal is the position of the South African police. The lower ranks work very long hours, more than any other worker in this country. They are poorly paid for an extremely dangerous type of work. And it is my task to ensure that the problems of the police are resolved. Because as long as morale among the police is very low, it's going to be difficult for us to deal with the crime, which is worrying me. And so one of the things I'm going to discuss with the Minister of Finance, it is the position of the lower ranks of the police force. They are doing marvelous work, and that we must put them in a position where they can do their work and enjoy it, because it is worthwhile. Yeah. And it cannot be worthwhile if they work under primitive conditions.
Yeah.
The conditions under which they are working are completely unacceptable. And apart from that, I would appeal to all South Africans to join hands in the building of the new South Africa and in promoting a spirit of reconciliation.
Wonderful. Mr. President, I have a present for you. I would like to give it to you right now.
Thank you.
Because I know you have got so many things to do. I would like to show you, this is a very interesting box. It was sent to Robben Island, and they obviously
yes.
you'd left. They scratched it out, Paulsmoor. Then they sent it to the Vic Verster. Then I think somebody sent it to Tynes, Cape Town, but they said return to sender. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't.
Well,
I would like to open it for you.
Thank you very much.
And then you can see
Oh,
what it
very
is
good.
there.
Huh? That's very lovely.
A special shirt to remind you of this very special occasion.
Well,
And I hope
this
you
is
wear
very
it.
lovely indeed. I'll value this. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
my
Thanks
dear
a million.
President. There
This
is
is
a
lovely,
message
eh?
for you there.
Oh,
it says,
good.
For Madiba, eternally yours, Amandla Vrystaat. Evita
Oh,
B.
very good. Very, very, very
I
good.
want to thank you for everything you are doing for us and for being a friend to us and for inspiring us with so much love and so much affection for the future.
You're
of our country.
welcome. You are very generous. You have done a wonderful work too, and we're proud of you. And I mean it when I say you are one of my heroes.
Well, we all have to agree on something. We have got the most unique president in the world. Nelson Mandela first went to jail and then went into politics and not the other way around. See you in 1995.
We hope you got more information from this video that is helpful. Right now, there is an increase in violence and division that is enabled by misinformation. In Christ, there is no race and no racism. We are operating in a world, though, that insists we take sides, and sometimes the consequences for our open or tacit endorsement are high. Looking at the facts and root causes of conflicts and unfairness or injustice is especially important when people are using misinformation to excuse violence, government overthrow, destruction, and even death. Because of political agendas, these videos are hard to search for, may get removed or censored. We feel like they are well-sourced, thoughtful, and truthful. We hate racism and injustice towards anyone. What has happened, though, is groups like Black Lives Matter and the political news media have lied about the circumstances and the frequency of police shooting unarmed black men and women. They've also lied about things that have been done to bring justice and remove any law enforcement and imprisonment actions that are needlessly violent, illegal, or reckless. A key influence in our thinking on this is a major prophecy from Brother Kenneth E. Hagin in 1963. It predicted worsening racism that was merged with communism. This is what we are seeing now. Many churches are attempting to appease or justify the violent and deceptive groups that are protesting, rioting, and calling for removing the rule of law. Fighting deception by sharing more lies and playing on people's emotions is more than ineffective. We should be leading our own communities and nations in change and never joining in or endorsing people and groups that are against the family, against the church, and for perversion and unrestricted abortion. The answer is not political, but we use political systems to restrain evil. The real answer that will conquer hate, envy, theft, and violent mob rule is the church. When we are empowered from heaven and equipped with the truth, forgiveness, and the good news that in Christ, we are all one family, we win the hearts and minds of the lost. Go to faithtrainers.com/raising racism for more information or see the other videos in this collection on the Faith Trainers YouTube channel. Grow fast. Grow strong. Glorify God.